With season 12 of our favourite social experiment coming to a close, I think it's obviously my place to speak on the socio-political opinions of people that I don't know.
God, like, can we talk about, like, the political and economic state of the world right now?
The divide was in fact racism. I can't do Ian Sellers' voice. There is a divide, obviously, and though there are many reasons for that divide, which I will go into near the end, I do think that there is a main, looming, glaring one: racism and general anti-immigrant sentiments that again will be touched upon throughout this video, but are genuinely on a rise in the UK right now. And when I say generally, I do mean generally, not genuinely. Sorry, Meg. Let's take a look at this divide a little closer, shall we? Shakira, a Pakistani woman. Yasmin, the daughter of an Iranian immigrant. And Tony, someone who is literally not from our country, their country. And I think the 500 knows who I'm talking about when I say their country. Recap: Shakira, Yasmin, Tony. Let's take a little peek at the other side. There is a distinct difference between these two groups of women. A group of immigrants or people who aren't the stereotypical British white woman, then Helena and Meg.
That sounded way snarkier than I intended it to. All I meant was that these were immigrant women, and the other group were like plain Jane British women, which there's nothing wrong with plain Jane British women. Some of my favourite friends are plain Jane British women. There was a distinct difference between the two.
At the start of this season, there was talk about Helena being a reform supporter, and though I don't know the validity of these claims, I do recall a little tweet that our girl made. All I can hear are these fucking foreign dickheads. Now, I would like to say it was 10 years ago. Benefit of the doubt, it's a tweet. She would have been like 18, which is how old I am. And I wouldn't tweet that, but I am a fucking foreign dickhead. But I definitely would say something that I'm gonna regret in 10 years' time. I'm gonna be a different person in 10 years, and I hope I've grown and my opinions have changed. Like, I already consider myself quite progressive, but I hope that in 10 years' time, when that ballpark has shifted, I have grown from who I am now. Comments like this, I'm not going to hold it against her, but I do think it's helpful to know that this is her background, this is her internal biases. That is the framework of how you think. Yes, you can change and grow from that, but that is who you are. That is your ingrained personality by that point. So I think it's important to consider that these were her sentiments 10 years ago, because they are going to carry into her as a person today. I think that this is seen throughout the show, especially from Helena herself, but also from people like Meg and Emily, and I know I'm just naming women, but I also think that it's played on by the men. Helena specifically, her dismissal of Shakira in the whole triangle situation at the very start of the series showed how she didn't think of Shakira as an individual with feelings or a personality. And you can say that's in part because they were interested in the same bloke, but she doesn't really do that with the other women that are interested in her man. Treating her less than and not caring about her feelings, and just this overall dismissal of Shakira by Helena shows that she doesn't view her as a full human being. This is also seen further down the line when Harry is talking to Yasmin, and she says he doesn't even fancy her. Yasmin is a gorgeous woman. There is no reason to claim that Harry doesn't like her. She also isn't Harry. She doesn't know how Harry feels about her. She also calls her boring, but I think that's less racially charged. Yeah, Helen's probably thinking, she doesn't look like me, so how could he fancy her? And doesn't look like me, I think we all kind of can maybe understand what that means. Anyways, I think that's a feeling that gets brought up again in the couple goals challenge when Meg writes down Angel on the board. Yasmin gets put up. I think she is aware that Yasmin doesn't look like her. Now, I'm not saying that she's racist. I'm just saying that that's interesting. Back to Helena. You might be thinking, Nav, didn't Helena get to know men of colour throughout the show? Wasn't her best mate in there a black man? Well, yes. And I'm glad you brought that up. Because intersectionality, Dejon, my colourist king, he does not rate black women at all. Barring our insecure icon Meg, whenever Dejon gets heat from a black woman, he immediately starts degrading them. Interesting. Normal person behaviour. This already started with Militia. Her and Dejon really did form a connection on that little date thing. Meg watched it all and became annoyed and gets between them. Through this kind of getting between them, Dejon's like, my Meg, and begins to ignore Militia pretty much entirely, which may be valid, maybe, but it's still weird to pretend as though there was not a connection despite going to the terrace with her, saying all the things you said on the date, going that little, I don't know what they call it, that little square of land.
I genuinely spent an hour looking for this and I couldn't find the name for it anywhere, but it's this place. I know Tony says it in an episode, I just can't remember which episode, but it's this place.
Having all those flirty conversations with her, it's weird. And then we have Caprice, an unspoken baddie. This is when I first had the feelings he had was a game player, which is irrelevant, but it kind of hops on the fact that he ignores his connections, especially with POC women. This is further seen with Yasmin, a half-white passing woman. He was clear that there was a connection, that he told Meg that there was a connection there. He said that Yasmin was the person who he'd go after if Meg wasn't there. He was very clear there was a connection. If you actually did watch it, was there much of a connection, or was it just kind of flirting? Comparing it to Militia and, as we'll get on to Bilicus, his relationship with Yasmin was much more shallow, but he was much more able to come to terms with it and accept it, acknowledge it, and discuss it with other people. And that's because he wasn't embarrassed by her. This brings me on to the main piece of contention, Bilicus. His treatment of Bilicus was so bad that his sister, who has opinions that I do not agree with in most cases, even brought it up herself. He had a great date with Bilicus, flirty chats throughout the day, and a true connection I think everybody could see. India Pollack and Amy Hart have a podcast called the Morning After Podcast where they discuss this connection and how even they saw something blossoming. They even had Dumped Islanders come in and also state that there was indeed a connection. He had a great day with her, flirty chats in the villa, connection starts to form, his missus gets pissed. This is all up to standard, all up to par at this point. Bilicus is still engaging with in conversation with this man because, well, he still seems interested in her. This all culminates in the Superman challenge, where Bilicus calls him out for flirting with her while still being all, my Meg, my Meg, my Meg. He does not like that one bit. He starts saying he was never interested in getting to know her at all. This argument goes on and it leads into the main villa, where he says, I don't like you, you're not the kind of girl I'd like to get to know on the outside. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? The way he said it felt very racially charged. I'm sure many people of colour, especially women of colour, and even more especially black women, know what Dejon meant in that conversation. The way he spoke to her felt very Terry Crews in White Chicks. You might still be thinking, hey, now if you didn't mention Harrison, Helena also got to know black men, including Harrison. What about that? Okay, I was getting there. As mentioned, intersectionality, and more so, intersectionality. This isn't exclusive to the misogynoir Dejon displayed, but it is related. It's the combination of sexism and racism, and how it creates something new, a different form of hatred than the two separately. An obvious example, and a way you can see this, is through the stereotypes of women of colour, of black women being loud, East Asian women being ABGs, Indian/brown women being ugly, they are specifically racist and sexist. Harrison and Dejon are men, which makes them better than Bilicus, better than Melisha, better than Shakira, inherently. According to Helena, of course. Not consciously, obviously, well, hopefully. They are able to get away with more than these women are because they have the luxury of being men. It's different to male privilege because they are still affected by their skin tone.
I don't think I did a good job of explaining what I meant here. What I meant was that male privilege is based on white male privilege, which I'll discuss later about women, but I don't think I made it clear here. And because Harrison, Dejon, Cash, Jamie, Connor are black men, they can't succeed through male privilege exclusively or from male privilege because it's not based on them.
But so are the women. I think people lack the understanding of what intersectionality truly means. It's not just that somebody deals with racism, homophobia, sexism, transphobia. It's not just that they deal with 2 or more of these things. It's the fact that through having to deal with more than just one prejudice causes a different form of prejudice. It's something that's deeper and has to be tackled in a different way, which nobody really likes to talk about because they like to say, well, we solve racism and we solve sexism, so what are you talking about? There's still other issues to be tackled. You have to discuss how black women are still going to be treated differently to black men, and they're still going to be treated differently to white women. I think that this is also seen in the way Tony discusses the divide. In an episode near the end of the season, Tony discusses her perception of the conception of the divide. That was hard to get out. How her and Shakira were outcast, likely because she took Shakira's man, Ben, and Shakira being seen as an opponent to all the other women. And how it snowballed as all the new bombshells slowly also got outcast and joined them. This isn't the case. Let's just take this bombshell by bombshell. The first set of bombshells. Melisha, Yasmin, and Emily. Melisha joined them. Yasmin joined them. Emily didn't. Then Bilicus came in and she joined them. Then it was the Casa girls. And other ones that came in, Emily and Andrade joined them, but Lucy and Lauren didn't. And finally Angel, who also didn't join them. Yasmin, Melisha, Bilicus, Emma, and Andrade. Emily, Lucy, Lauren, and Angel. What makes this Birkin different from this Birkin? Whiteness, sorry. And I truly don't think that this is a stretch to say. I mean, genuinely look at these 2 groups of women. Well, they're not in my, you know what I'm trying to say. And tell me you don't see a clear difference between the 2. I truly don't think it's a stretch to say that there is a difference between these 2 groups, given the anti-immigrant sentiment in the UK and the growth of parties such as Reform. I think this highlights a growing issue in our society that shouldn't be swept under the rug. Shakira's mental decline was disgusting to watch on national television. That obviously was a combination of all I discussed in this video and the horrific treatment of women in this season of Love Island. Everyone says the treatment of women in Love Island is always bad. Is it this bad though? Is it really this bad? Since the departure of Harrison, the character growth of Connor, and the complete 180 of Harry, it's sometimes difficult to remember the treachery these women actually faced most of the time in this villa. Ignoring that, which I don't think we should, another key factor was the racism and her being pitted against these other women, which are like, that's sexism. It is intersectionality. You can't just say that the divide is because these women are being pitted against each other due to the sexist environment, which is part of it, but if it was the case, then we would see this divide to the same extent every single season, and we haven't. Therefore, there must be another reason. Yeah, but now that season 12 is over, I am excited for season 13 and All-Star season 3, I guess. I am recording this before the finale. It is Sunday, it's before even the Island over. But that's not important. I think the important thing to talk about is the sexism, the racism, and the combination of the 2 that is seen throughout this season. I would say unmatched, unrivaled to any other season of Love Island before it. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I might make a video about the sexism on Love Island, but let me know if you're interested in that. I don't actually know if anybody would be. I do have other things that I'm planning on. I don't know if any of you guys are interested in How I Met Your Mother, but I love Barney and Robin, so bet your bottom dollar that I am making a video series about them. Might also make a video about Zombies 4. Will I? I don't know. Also, if you're watching this and you follow me from like 15 years ago, hey bestie. I've had a strange career path on this app. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Bye. Bye. Bye, diva. Toodles. See you on the flippity flip. Okay. Boo.